Mucho vocabulario. Ujú. Bueno, Margaret, aquí estamos con lección 5. Vamos a repasar la ropa y los verbos regulares. Vamos a hablar de la pregunta ¿quién? La diferencia entre ser y estar y el verbo tener. Y después más actividades para practicar. Bueno, para comenzar lección 5, Margaret, la palabra ¿quién? Es decir who, ¿no? Pretty simple. ¿Quién te enseña español?
Enseña teaches.
Exacto, muy bien.
David enseña español.
¿Y quién cocina en tu casa?
Yo cocino en mi casa.
¿Quién es tu jefe?
Mi esposo es mi jefe.
¿Quién juega? Bueno, tu esposo no es tu jefe. Tú eres tu propia jefe. ¿Quién juega fútbol? Muy bien.
Juego fútbol un poco.
Pero ¿quién? ¿Quién juega fútbol?
Mis hijos juegan fútbol muy bien.
Muy bien. ¿Con quién bailas?
Bailo con mi esposo.
Ok. Ser o estar for temporary states of being.
Temporary is a star.
Perfecto. Okay. And then for more of a permanent state of being.
Ser.
¿Dónde está Argentina?
Argentina está en South America.
Sí.
Okay.
Sudamérica.
America.
¿Cómo es Dwayne Johnson?
Dwayne Johnson es fuerte.
¿Cómo es el niño?
El niño es I just looked at this one today because I always want to say limpio, which is clean, but don't say it. Hold on. Shoot. Oh, dígame.
Es débil.
Débil.
Es débil. ¿Cómo están ellos?
Ellos, so this is not, this is fluctuating. Ellos están contentos.
And here we have, I think, emocionados, if my computer would work. Sí, están emocionados, they're excited, but contentos, that works just fine.
Okay.
¿De qué es el puente?
Puente es bridge.
Muy bien.
Okay. El puente es in San Francisco.
Cuidado. No estoy preguntando dónde está.
It's not
Estoy
okay.
preguntando de qué es.
So I'm describing the bridge. Or de qué.
Specifically what it's made of, right? What is it made of?
Got it.
And this was new yesterday.
Yeah. When my brain wasn't working. Let me look at my notes. El puente es hecho de acero.
Muy bien. ¿Cómo estás?
Estoy emocionado. Emocionada.
Bien. And here we have contento, contenta, but emocionada works. ¿Cuál es su profesión?
Soy ama de casa. No. ¿Cuál es su?
La mujer en la foto. No tu profesión. Su profesión. De ella.
Ella es secretaria.
Secretaria, está bien. ¿Cómo está la copa?
La copa está vacía.
¿Cómo es ella?
Ella es alta.
¿Cómo es él?
él es bajo. No. Yes.
¿Cómo están ellos?
Ellos están enamorados.
Muy bien. ¿De qué es la copa?
La copa es hecho de vidrio.
Vidrio. Vidrio.
Vidrio.
Muy bien. ¿Cómo está ella?
Ella está cansada.
¿Cómo es el niño?
El niño es joven.
¿Cómo es el abuelo?
El abuelo es viejo.
¿Dónde está Evo Morales?
Evo Morales está en Bolivia.
¿Cómo es el vagabundo?
El vagabundo es what should I say? So this is his a permanent state of being. Pesimista. I don't know. What are you looking for?
I would accept pesimista. Here we're looking for pobre. He's
Okay.
poor.
So poor is considered
Rich, you know, it's one of those definite gray areas, right?
Okay.
Keep in mind, right? It's when I say temporary states of being from my interpretation, right? Because I'm a native English speaker with you, just like you. So I've had to do a lot of kind of interpretive analysis of my own on this, right? To try and make sense of it, you know? That permanent temporary thing is a very high level explanation. Once you dive into it, there's some gray areas. For me, what's kind of helped make sense of it is the fluidity of it, right? Like whether, you know, typically speaking, if you're rich and you're poor, you're poor. Some things can happen to, you know, supposedly you can work really hard, right? And get ahead and make money, but it doesn't happen overnight, right? Sure, if you're really rich, you could take a really bad hit in the stock market overnight and lose all your money and go from instantly being rich to instantly being poor, right? Like it's possible, but it's, you know, perhaps what makes it even make more sense is it typically doesn't change back and forth.
Right, which is like, with a good explanation with the young and old. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like young and old, right? Like, sure, it can change over time very gradually. Okay. And in this one, you know, this is even more of a gray area because sure, there are things that can happen that can instantly make you poor or instantly, you know, you win the lotto and now you're instantly rich, right? But
that's not the standard.
Yeah, it's not a standard thing. And certainly if you look at it from like it going back and forth, right? It's very rare you're going to be dirt poor today, rich tomorrow, and then poor again on Thursday, right?
Okay. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. I'm making notes because this has definitely been a trickier thing for me, the star versus ser.
Yeah, and ser and star it's an area of the language that is just different, right? We don't have two different verbs for the verb be. Everything for us is the verb be.
Right.
So, you know, there's multiple things that you could have said here, right? Es pesimista. I 100% accept that. That's a good response, right? Typically speaking, a bum is probably a pretty pessimistic person too, right? That would have also been, you know, you could have said he is fat, he is whatever. Like there's different things you could have said here.
Okay.
Yeah. You're doing great, by the way. This is an activity. I didn't give you any explanation beforehand, but you're doing great. So good job.
Okay. Better, better than
¿De qué es,
yesterday.
¿de qué es el sacapuntas?
Sacapuntas es de plástico y
That's it.
looking
Ah,
for it.
¿Cómo está la maestra?
La maestra está emocionada.
Aquí vamos a decir frustrada. Emocionada is more of a good thing. She doesn't look like she's excited, like in a good way.
Frustrada, that's nuevo.
Frustrada.
Frustrada. Okay.
¿De qué es el caballo?
El caballo es de madera.
¿Cuál es su profesión?
Él es policía. Policía.
Muy bien. ¿De qué es el edificio?
El edificio es hecho de. Is that brick?
Concrete.
Okay, concreto.
Concreto.
Concreto. Not a. Concreto. Concreto.
Concreto.
Concreto.
¿Cómo está el perro?
No. El perro está triste.
Aquí tenemos incómodo, pero triste está bien. Muy bien. ¿De qué es la casa?
La casa es de ladrillo.
¿Cómo está la gatita?
La gatita está mojada.
¿De qué es la camiseta?
La camiseta es de algodón.
¿Cómo es Bill Gates?
Bill Gates es rico.
¿De qué es la chaqueta?
La chaqueta es hecho de, ¿cómo se dice? Leather.
Cuero.
Cuero. Leather. Cuero. Okay, gracias.
De nada. ¿Cómo está el doctor?
Muy mal. El doctor está deprimido.
Muy bien. ¿Cuál es su profesión?
Ella es estudiante.
¿Cuál es su profesión?
Él es maestro.
¿Cómo está la recepcionista?
La recepcionista está aburrida.
¿Cuál es su profesión?
Él es, ¿cómo se dice? Fireman.
Bombero.
Bombero. Bombero.
¿Cómo es Shaq?
Shaq es alto.
¿Y su mujer?
Ella es baja.
¿Cómo está mi amiga por la mañana?
Tu amiga está don't tell me. Emocionada? Or are you looking for awake? Despierta?
Aquí tenemos despierta, sí, pero emocionada también, me parece. ¿Cuál es su profesión?
Ella es enfermera.
Perfecto. Margaret, aquí vamos a aprender un verbo irregular. Tener es decir to have, tener, okay? Here's a little mini intro to some irregular verbs that we're increasingly going to start to see. These, just like ser and estar, they don't follow the regular verb pattern, right? So that's why we see here, yo tengo,
Yo tengo.
And then notice the stem change in the next ones. Tú tienes,
Tú tienes.
él tiene,
Él tiene.
ella tiene,
Ella tiene.
usted tiene,
Usted tiene.
nosotros tenemos,
Nosotros tenemos.
ellos tienen,
Ellos tienen.
ellas tienen,
Ellas tienen.
ustedes tienen.
Ustedes tienen.
So these would be good to study, this verb would be good to study independently. Vamos a practicar. Número 1.
Yo tengo una televisión grande. Mis vecinos, neighbors, tenemos, no, tienen gabinetes lindos.
Muy bien.
¿Qué significa lindos?
Lindos means pretty or beautiful.
Okay.
Nice.
Tú tienes 3 perros. Nosotros tenemos una cocina con acabados nuevos. Acabados?
Acabados. New finishes.
Okay. Él tiene un baño pequeño. Yo no tengo una chimenea. Ella tiene toallas sucias. That's sad. Ella tiene una mesa de madera. Nosotros tenemos un comedor normal. Tú tienes un dormitorio bueno.
¿Tienes una televisión grande?
Sí, tengo una televisión grande.
¿Tus vecinos tienen el césped más verde que el tuyo?
Césped. ¿Qué significa césped?
Grass, lawn.
Oh, a very, very green lawn.
Greener than yours. The grass is always greener, right?
Yeah. Sí, mis vecinos tienen el césped más verde que el tuyo.
Que el mío.
El mío.
¿Tienes mascotas?
Sí, tengo 2 mascotas.
Nosotros tenemos muchos alumnos en la clase hoy.
We have many students. No. Nosotros tenemos alumno en la clase hoy.
Una alumna.
Una alumna.
Muy bien. ¿Tu mejor amiga tiene un apartamento?
No, mi mejor amiga tengo una casa.
Tiene.
Tiene una casa.
¿Tú tienes una chimenea?
Sí, tengo una chimenea.
¿Tu mamá tiene toallas grandes?
Sí, mi mamá tiene toallas grandes.
¿Tu esposo tiene buen gusto?
¿Qué significa buen gusto?
Good taste in this context.
Okay. Sí, mi esposo tiene buen gusto.
¿Nosotros tenemos una mesa de plástico?
Do we have? Sí, tenemos una mesa de plástico.
¿Tú tienes un dormitorio bueno?
Sí, tengo un dormitorio bueno.
Muy bien. Margaret, ¿en cuál tipo de residencia vives?
Vivo en una casa.
Muy bien. ¿Y en cuál tipo de comunidad vives?
Vivo en una ciudad.
Muy bien. So we're going to talk about where you live, your habitat. I think you probably know most of these words. Tampoco is the opposite of también, right? So you say también to say like too, like
Right.
me too or also, right? And then if you're like trying to say me neither, you'd say tampoco. Does that make sense?
Sí.
Yeah. And I think the rest of these you should know. El patio is the yard, patio, the So here's a picture of my house. Margaret, mi casa es chica. Está ubicada en Montbello, en la calle Deep Haven. Es amarilla. No es nueva, pero tampoco es vieja. Es del año 83. Tiene 3 dormitorios y 2 baños. Todos los cuartos son pequeños. Me gusta la sala. Me gustaría una cocina más grande. Hay un árbol en el patio de enfrente y otro detrás de la casa. Tengo mucho trabajo que hacer afuera.
Un momento. Me gusta la sala. Me gustaría. Me gustaría is I would like.
Exacto, muy bien.
There is an arbor in the yard. In frente.
An árbol is a tree.
Arbol. Okay. Tree.
Árbol is tree.
In the yard. In the front. In front. Y otro.
In the front yard, el patio de enfrente.
Y otro detrás. ¿Qué significa detrás?
Behind.
Behind de la casa. Tengo mucho trabajo, much work to do afuera.
Outside.
Okay.
Okay, muy bien. So, describe tu casa, Margaret.
Can I use this as a guide?
Claro.
Okay. Mi casa es grande. Está, ¿qué significa ubicada?
Ubicada, located.
Okay. Está ubicada en Centennial, en la calle Flanders. Es blanco y azul. No es nueva. Well, así. How do you say kind of new? No es nueva. Es del año 20. Tiene.
Bueno, si es del año 2020 es nueva.
Es nuevo.
Es muy nueva, sí, claro.
Tiene 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dormitorios y 5 baños. Todos los cuartos son grandes. Me gusta el comedor. Hay un árbol en el patio. Tengo mucho trabajo que hacer en mis hijos baño.
En el baño de mis hijos.
Okay, en el baño de mis hijos.
Okay, muy bien. Margaret, as you know, I'm really big on trying to make the learning process relevant to you. Can you think of 5 activities or phrases that you'd like to learn how to say that you can't say in Spanish today, but would be helpful for you? For example, I think travel is kind of your primary purpose.
I would love to know how to say, like, if I see someone just say, like, even to you, like, how was your weekend?
Okay.
What did you do last weekend?
Cool. So that's technically the past tense, which we're going to get into in about a month from now, but I'll go ahead and tell you. So a really good expression would be to say, ¿qué tal? So I've taught you ¿qué tal before in the past, like saying what's up or how's it going?
Yeah.
But you can add that to anything or any event.
Okay.
And it's like saying, how is it or how was it, right?
Okay.
So in this situation, if you wanted to say like, how was your weekend? ¿Qué tal el fin de semana?
Okay. And then that's implied, like, your last weekend.
Yes.
Okay.
the most recent weekend, right? Spanish is really contextual, so.
Okay.
All right, now, if you wanted just a little simple tutorial on the past tense, let's go with yo and just to for today, right?
Okay.
Okay, so what is all this stuff that I'm writing here?
No say.
I'm gonna explain, don't worry. Okay, so remember we've got AR verbs and then we've got our ER and IR. God, this is terrible. Okay.
I got it.
So the past tense, Margaret, and I just like to start with tu y yo because you ultimately have to learn the there's 5 conjugations in the past tense, right?
Right.
To say that I did something yesterday, it's all going to depend on if it's an AR or an IR verb. So if I wanted to say I talked, right? Hablar is the verb, it's an AR verb, you'd say yo hablé.
Yo hablé.
And if I wanted to say you talked, I would say tú hablaste, right?
Okay, tu hablaste.
So conversationally, sorry, this whiteboard thing on Zoom is just terrible.
No, you're fine.
It makes like the mouse always disappears when I try and do this. So, it makes
So
it
fun.
hard. All right, so imagine if I'm asking a question, hablaste? For example, con tu esposo? How would you say yes? I talked to my husband.
Okay. Sí, yo hablé con mi esposo.
Right?
Okay.
So we can do the same thing now with an ER or an IR, right? Comiste el burrito? Did you eat the burrito?
Sí. How do you say I in Spanish? A.
So remember, you could say yo, right?
Yo,
But-
come.
Oh, you're talking about the pronunciation of that.
Yeah.
Okay. E, right?
Y. Comí.
Comí el burrito, right?
Comí el burrito. Okay.
Or I could say like escribiste el email. And you would say sí.
Escribí. So
Yeah.
because the accent's on the last.
Yep.
Escribí el email.
Right. So that's saying, did you write the email? Yes, I wrote the email.
Okay.
So,
hold on. Don't take those away. Wait. Okay.
right. So one last thing there. If you were just having the very like general question, right? ¿Qué tal el fin de semana?
Mhm.
You might follow that up with what you wanted to ask me. What did you do? ¿Qué hiciste este fin de semana?
It's a sad, right?
So that's from the verb hacer, which is to do. Very good. It's a little irregular in the past tense. So without getting into great amounts of details on it, just for now, what did you do would be ¿qué hiciste?
Okay. K-E-C-A.
So let's think about that. Margaret, this last weekend, what did you do?
Okay. So I got to put it in past tense. Let's see. Yo To play is jugar. Yo
So jugué.
jugué. Yo jugué. ¿Cómo se dice golf?
Golf.
Yo jugué golf y comí oh my gosh, how do you say food? Comida, comida mexicana. Y so if for went, would you use to go?
So that, of course, is irregular in the past tense, and it's going to be fui.
And it's always, is it fui for just yo, or is it fui for to?
Nope, just yo.
Just yo. Okay.
In the two, it would be fuiste.
Okay. So fui is just me. I went. Yo fui. Oh, I know this word, but I'm losing it. Church.
Fui a la iglesia.
Iglesia. See.
Bien. So there's just a little high-level introduction to the past tense for you.
Okay. And what if I haven't seen someone for a while? Like, let's say when we go back to Costa Rica and I want to greet like the guard at the guard station. Hola, ¿cómo estás? It's been a while, or how do you say something like that? Just conversationally.
Yeah, so come on, computer. God, this is so annoying. There we go. So to say like it's been a while, you could say tanto tiempo.
Okay.
And here I would say que hay de nuevo.
Okay. Yeah. What is new?
What's new? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You could say que tal todo. Que tal, again, que tal, like what's up or how's it going? In this situation, you add a little more context. Que tal todo is like how are things? How is everything?
Okay.
Right? Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of expressions you could use in that situation, just like we have in English.
Great.
Good.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Do you want to take a little screenshot of this?
I wrote it all down.
You got it all down? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So keep in mind, relevance is the name of the game here. When it comes to learning how to speak a new language, you've got the entire language in front of you, right? And I'm trying my best to teach you stuff that I just, my students have to learn how to say one way or another. But the more you can make it personalized or customized for your particular learning experience, learning the things that you want to learn how to say or that you would actually be saying in daily situations, the faster it's going to be for you. Have you done any of those dialogues since we last did that activity?
I haven't. It was on my list and then I got pushed aside with Easter and everything else.
Yeah, whenever you can, no rush. Just I wanted to check in because those are very helpful.
Yeah. I'm actually finding it's interesting. Like I'm more overwhelmed right now with Spanish than I was at the beginning. I think maybe because I'm getting to stuff that's harder for me.
This level is dedicated to ser and estar, which is confusing because it doesn't exist in English, right? And anytime you have a disconnection between the two new languages, it's going to be, uncomfortable. I want to commend you because you did great today. We started the class. We did like the first, 10, 15 minutes of class where I was switching back and forth from ser and estar. And you answered 99% of the questions right the first try, right? Okay. So try not to stress out about that, right? Because that, we're learning a new language. Sometimes it kind of feels like a roller coaster. Like there are times where you feel like you're really getting it, and then you come to something new and you're like, oh my God, this is impossible, right?
Yeah, that's where I am.
The only thing I can say is that it will come with time, right?
Okay.
Just keep going. Ser and estar is something that I will constantly come back to, right? We're going to constantly keep coming back to do activities. And for more of just a psychological standpoint, right? It's people tend to work these situations up in their heads that really don't matter. Yes, grammatically, and I can hear my college Spanish professors, grumbling every time I say this, right? If you mess up and if you say estar instead of ser, probably because of the context of the conversation, everything's going to be okay and understood, right? We've seen where sometimes it can slightly change the meaning, right? Like to say yo estoy optimista versus saying yo soy optimista. One of those means I feel optimistic, and one of those means I'm an optimist, right? Because I switch the verb ser and estar.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, think about it, right? Like you're talking about the big game this weekend, right? And you're trying to say, I feel optimistic that my team is going to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, I feel optimistic, you say, I'm an optimist. Guess what? The person's going to, yeah, it's really not a big deal, right? Okay. And like what we did today, I didn't give you any explanation before going into the activity, and you did really good on it. Because I find the more I explain it, the harder it actually becomes, right? When you just let it fall into place, it falls into place. We did an activity completely dedicated to the differences between ser and estar, which in a natural conversation, nobody's going to be asking you questions that's constantly flipping back and forth between ser and estar.
Right.
And you're going to get all of your verbal cues from the conversation. So if you're in a conversation and somebody says, ¿Cómo estás? You're going to say, estoy bien, right? Like you're not going to confuse you're not going to think, oh, ¿Cómo estás? Is he asking me to describe if I'm tall or short, or, you know what I mean? Like because of the language is so contextual. A lot of people have said that, almost 90% of communication comes actually from nonverbal communication. So, not even the words that you're using, but the context of a conversation, the, facial gestures and body language and all that other type of stuff are going to play a huge impact. So try not to stress out about it, right?
Okay.
Because when I hear people say that, that's kind of like an internal thing that's going on with you. All my students go through this, and just try to stay positive, stay confident, get back to the basics, which is vocabulary, right?
Yeah.
And yesterday you weren't feeling good, right?
Right.
But we have learned a lot of vocabulary. And that I've noticed just in the past couple of days, you're having more questions about how do you say, or what does this mean, or whatever, right? So we're moving along in terms of grammar, right? The grammar is always going to constantly get a little bit more complex, but it doesn't change anything about the fact that the more words you know, the more you're going to understand and the more you're going to be able to communicate. Grammar is always just going to fall into place over time. Sure, okay. We're going to get a little bit more grammatical. I'm going to give you some more stuff, right? And there's going to be some hard concepts, but don't let that throw you off from the primary goal, which is communication and building up your vocabulary.
Okay. Yeah, I have all my flashcards and I keep running through them. So there's just some words that will not sink in.
And learning a new language is highly dependent on your age as well, in terms of your own internal anxiety level with it, right? What I mean by that is that the longer you live, so I'm 39 years old, without getting into specifics about age, I've been speaking English for 39 years, and if I were to go try and learn Russian tomorrow, I'd be starting literally from zero, right? And so when you're accustomed to being able to communicate and then you get that taken away from you, it's very challenging. It's very challenging. The hardest part for adults, for the older you are when you're learning a new language, not to say that you're old, right? Because that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to because I know what's going through, typically speaking, it's that anxiety of not knowing what to say when you're used to being able to communicate, right?
Right.
Learning a new language, you have to get used to living with some ambiguity, right? It's hard. That's one of the more challenging things, right? Is you want to understand as an adult 100% of what somebody is saying to you. And I would tell you as your teacher to focus in on just getting the overall context, right?
Okay.
If you don't understand everything 100%, you've only been studying Spanish for a month.
Right.
And you've got a whole lifetime of study ahead of you, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that helps.
So just keep going. We can always go back and repeat and review and make it easier too, if you ever need it. Like today, you thought maybe we should do that for lesson 4. And I said, we don't need to, because trust me, you're on point. If I feel like we need to, or if you really say, hey, I need a break today, we'll go back and review some stuff. But you're right on track. You're better than average, actually. You're advancing much faster than most of my students. So,
well, thank you. I'm trying.
I'm going to give this to you to do for after class, just because since we're online, it's not going to come across very well.
Okay.
But that's a song. It's called La Camisa Negra, super popular song in the Spanish-speaking world. It's by this guy named Juanes from Colombia, and it's kind of it's a new style for you. It's Spanish rock, but kind of mixed in with cumbia.
Okay.
So check it out. Fun song about La Camisa Negra. What does that mean?
The black shirt.
The black shirt. So we're talking about clothes today. So, ¿cómo es el sombrero?
Hold on 1 second. I'm just copying from the thing. Okay, sorry. El sombrero es so like colors don't change. Well, so
colors.
Okay. El sombrero es well, it's all the colors. How about grande?
El sombrero es grande, muy bien. ¿De qué, perdón, cómo es la blusa?
La blusa es that rojo? Is that red? Roja?
Roja, muy bien. ¿Cómo es la camiseta? Perdón, la camisa.
La camisa. La camisa es azul.
¿Y cómo es la camiseta?
La camiseta es azul y amarilla.
¿Cómo es el polo?
El polo es blanco.
¿Y cómo es la corbata?
La corbata es morada.
¿Cómo es el abrigo? ¿La chaqueta?
La chaqueta es gris y negra.
¿Y cómo es el cinturón?
El cinturón es marrón.
¿Cómo es la ropa interior?
La ropa interior es chica.
Está bien. ¿Cómo es el vestido?
El vestido es bonito.
¿Cómo es la falda?
La falda es gris.
¿Y cómo son los pantalones?
Los pantalones. So with pants, because pants, like when you say pantalones, it's kind of a plural because there's 2 pant legs. Is that right?
Sí.
So you say so. Okay. Los pantalones son azul.
Azules.
Azules. Okay. So pants are always plural. Okay.
Just like in English.
Right.
Pants are plural.
Pants. Yeah.
Okay. ¿Cómo son los zapatos?
Los zapatos son marrón.
Marrones. Make it plural.
Shoot. Okay. Marrones.
¿Y cómo son los calcetines?
Los calcetines son nuevos.
Muy bien. Margaret, ¿qué ropa llevas ahora mismo? Aquí tengo un ejemplo. Llevo una gorra, una camiseta, pantalones, calcetines y zapatos. And if you add more detail, you could say something like, mi gorra es blanca, es del equipo de béisbol de los Rockies. Mi camiseta es azul, mis pantalones son negros y son muy cómodos. Mis zapatos también son negros, son de la marca Nike. Margaret, ¿qué llevas? ¿Qué ropa llevas ahora mismo?
Llevo pantalones. Mis pantalones son azules y muy cómodos. No llevo zapatos ahora. Mi camiseta es azul y blanca. And how do you say glasses?
Lentes.
Will you spell it, please?
Lentes. L-A-N-A-T-E-S. Lentes.
Y llevo lentes
Muy bien.
de marrón.
Bien. Lentes marrones. Marrones. No de marrón. Lentes marrones. De marrón. Perdón. Llevo lentes marrones.
Marrones. Okay.
Muy bien. Margaret, ¿sigues la moda?
Sigue. Oh, sí. I know this word. La moda. ¿Qué significa sigues?
Do you follow fashion is what I'm asking you with this one.
Okay. No sigo la moda.
¿Qué tipo de ropa te gusta usar?
Me gusta. Do you like to use? Me gusta usar ropa de cómoda.
Ropa cómoda.
Ropa cómoda. So you don't say like, you don't have to say clothes of comfort, just like ropa cómoda.
You're saying like comfortable clothes, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
The noun is always first.
I hate to say things like always, right?
Always.
But
Usually.
typically, yeah.
Typically, okay.
¿Por qué te gusta la ropa cómoda?
Porque soy ama de casa.
Muy bien. ¿Y qué opinas de la moda moderna?
What do I think of modern fashion? Do I say opino?
You can.
Okay, opino la moda moderna es fea.
Okay, muy bien. Yo estoy de acuerdo. ¿Cuál es tu época de la moda favorita?
¿Qué significa época?
Like period of time.
Oh, okay. Gosh. Mi época de la moda favorita es
mi época favorita o mi época de la moda favorita.
Mi época favorita
Yes.
is the 1950s.
Los 50.
Los 50.
Es de los 50, muy bien. ¿Te gusta ver dramas de época?
Do you like? No entiendo ver dramas.
That's like, well, drama, like a show, television
right.
drama, right? Drama de época is like a costume drama, like that takes place in another time period and everybody's wearing the clothes of that time period.
Okay. Me gusta ver dramas de época.
Muy bien. ¿La gente de Estados Unidos se viste de manera diferente que los latinos?
In what way? Gente, well, of the United States. Viste. Look,
Dress.
dress differently than Latinos. I don't know how to answer, but like, no, I don't think so.
Okay, so no.
Creo que no.
Okay. ¿Prefieres la moda estadounidense o la moda latina? Bueno, dice que no hay diferencia. Número 8, ¿la moda cambia mucho?
Cambia. ¿Qué significa cambia?
To change.
Oh,
So does fashion change a lot?
sí, la moda cambia mucho.